Confederation of the Blind. Training workshop on the rights of persons with disabilities, with particular emphasis on the visually impaired for AICB affiliates in South India. Sponsored by Danish Association of the Blind. Good morning to all of you. On behalf of All India Confederation of the Blind, I welcome all the guests and the participants, activists for the workshop on advocacy for the South India. So we have 5 affiliated organizations with us, and we have also few activists who are actively involved in advocacy work for the visually impaired. So we have an organization from College Students and Graduates Association of the Blind. We have Visually Impaired Women's Association of the Blind. We have Tamil Nadu Association of the Blind. And we have one organization from Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad, that is Development Welfare Association of the Blind. And we have organization called, we have Kerala Federation of the Blind. So you all know that AICB has been conducting a number of workshops with a view to empower our affiliates in leadership, advocacy, women empowerment, technology, etc. And especially we had a workshop on leadership skills and financial management through online mode in the month of in the last year. So we had conducted this workshop very successfully. So in this context, we have decided to conduct an advocacy workshop for the visually impaired who reside in South India. Why we need this workshop? Because like as a visually impaired people, you all would know that we are facing discrimination, marginalization in every day-to-day life in all spheres, especially. And because AICB, so AICB has been, you all know that we have approached several modes to do our advocacy work. So when we face marginalization or discrimination, we use several methods. We do protest, we do representation, we send legal notice, we file case. So we want to keep on train our affiliates to do advocacy on their own with the support of AICB also. So we thought, because we know we have Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, we have several GOs, and we have several circulars, we have several office memorandums. But as we are visually impaired people, every like since the inception of the act, we know that it is in our hands to make these acts, to make these government orders, or whatever comes to, like whatever the rule comes, it is we who have to make the government to implement all these provisions. For this, it is very important that we should be aware of all these provisions, we should be aware of all the rules, and we should know like when we should react, what kind of action we should take, if it is protest, or like what course of action is required for what kind of activity. So depending on the discrimination, we have to take action. So this workshop will be, we will talk about all those things during the workshop. So we have very, very eminent speakers be with us for the 2 days. We are planning for this workshop for today, 20th and 27th also. Today we are going to have very, very eminent and popular speakers and resource persons who are all advocates and activists. So we have Mr. Prabhakaran sir, who is very well known in the state of Tamil Nadu and other states. He is an advocate, Supreme Court of India, and he has Aneja sir will introduce. And he has taken a very important case of CSGAB and All India Confederation of the Blind against all Tamil Nadu aided institutions. And we are going to have a session on advocacy in the context of self-help movement of the blind, and who will be dealt by our advocacy chair. And we have a session on the important Indian legislation pertaining to persons with disabilities, who will be dealt by Mr. T.D. Daryal sir, who was the Deputy Chief Commissioner and who's also the President of NAB Delhi. And we will have a session on equality, education and accessibility, which will be dealt by Mr. Subhas Varshis. He's a well-known advocate and activist. And we have a session on social security, employment, and grievance redressal under RPD Act, which will be dealt by our advocacy chair. And we have a session, a very important session on interpretation and implications on UNCRPD. So we will have the sessions up to 3:30, and we have in between tea break and lunch break also. So our humble request is to all the participants is that please stay for the whole day, and please make use of these the services of the eminent speakers, so that we can more efficiently inculcate those provisions in our day-to-day life to our visually impaired community. With these words, I kindly request our Secretary General, our respected Mr. J.L. Kaul sir, to give the welcome address. So over to you, sir.
Professor Anil K. Aneja, President AICB, Vice President Mrs. M. MuthuSelvi, respected Prabhakaran sir, who is the keynote speaker today, my dear colleagues and friends from Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana.
Kerala.
Yes, Kerala I said. Tamil Nadu and Telangana. I welcome you all in this August gathering, and hope and trust that you will make full use of this advocacy workshop which is being conducted today and next Sunday. My dear friends, you should not forget that it is necessary for us that we send regular feedback to our funding agency about the workshops, what is being done and what benefit has reached our affiliates through such workshops. And I would like to say one thing, that the last workshop which was held for South India, and I have sent, and our office has sent several reminders to our affiliates to let us know the benefit reached them during the year. But unfortunately, none has replied, or those who have replied, their reply was not up to the mark at all. For example, one organization replied that 3 lakh rupees was the total income during the year. It was impossible to believe. You must remember that organizations, donor organizations, also know what is going on and what is not going on. Therefore, about this advocacy workshop, I would like to request you that you must take up some advocacy work in your organizations, because advocacy will give you a lot of reputation. it does not help only 5-10 people, but advocacy work helps a lot of people in the area, in the state, in the country. Therefore, you must take up. This year we have proposed, I say only proposed because budget has not been passed yet, but we have proposed, and I am sure our colleagues will endorse to it, that 14 lakh rupees have been kept for affiliates. So why don't you make use of these funds from AICB? You can certainly start advocacy units in your areas, and you will see how blind people, how blind beneficiaries are benefited through your work. Secondly, the first point which I brought to your kind notice was about last workshop. Now it is the end of March, so you can see what was your total income from all sides, from donations, from grants, from government grants. Total income, what was your total income, and what is the total income during 2021-2022 financial year. This you must inform us. This will give us an opportunity to learn whether the workshop which we have conducted in March has proved useful to you or not. And we shall be able to report to the funding agency. Please don't forget this issue. And also don't forget to request for funds for advocacy work as far as possible in your states, in your areas. We have recently started appointed public relation officer in Hyderabad in our registered office. And I will request them to take up advocacy work as far as possible. With these words, I would like to stop and give way to other prominent speakers here. Thank you.
So thank you, really thank you so much for the enlightening words. And I'm sure our affiliates will make use of the funds to take up the advocacy work in the organization in the state, because even now there are a lot of violations which is happening in the state, in every state. So I'm sure we will utilize the funds and use it for a very noble cause. Thank you, sir. So now I kindly request our president and our advocacy chair, Dr. Anil Aneja, sir, to brief you about the workshop.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Respected Kaul sir, our honorable keynote speaker, Mr. Prabhakaran, my dear friends from various affiliates, the tech team, and everyone who has joined in. A very warm welcome to this workshop. In a way, my task has been made much easier by both Muthu and Kaul sir, because Muthu has already talked about the workshop and the speakers, something I don't need to do now. And so Mr. Kaul has talked about some of the important objectives. In any case, you're going to hear me a lot today. I have 2 sessions with you.
Yeah.
There's slight interchange in the program. So I have 2 sessions with you I will be taking the session that Muthu is also was to take in the afternoon. But nonetheless, so I will be very brief because we have our keynote speaker who has already joined us, and we are very eager to listen to him. But just in a few words, 2 or 3 important things that I want to outline about this workshop. One, that this workshop is being held under a project which is sponsored by Danish Association of the Blind. So I do want to tell you something about the project in very brief and the significance of this workshop within the rubric, within the domain of that project. Muthu, I'm audible clearly?
Very much so, very much.
Okay. So Danish Association of the Blind is an organization in Denmark which supports international work in various countries, particularly in developed countries. You may remember that earlier we were being supported by another Scandinavian country, the National Association, the NABP, Norwegian Association of the Blind and Partially Sighted. That project ended in 2020, but soon, thanks to the efforts made by our late president, A.K. Mittal sir and Kaul sir, we were able to find another sponsoring agency for some of our work, which was a major achievement, because if this had not happened, we would be facing difficulty, financial difficulty on perhaps some of our very important areas of work. So this project is very important for us. We are in the 3rd year of the project. The project gets over sometime next year in June, July. And in case we need to get further support from them for our further work for the subsequent 4 years. Hello, Vikram. Yeah, Vikram is also joined. Our project manager for DAB, whom you're very familiar with. He was also there when we did the leadership workshop with you last March. So in case we are to get further support, it's important that we deliver the results that are required to be delivered under the project. Now, what are the results that we expect? There are some very important outcomes that are expected. One of them is, I'm not going to get into every outcome. One of them is to strengthen AICB affiliates in realizing the rights of what they call blind and partially sighted persons. Strengthening AICB and its affiliates in realizing the rights of blind and partially sighted persons. Because service is fine. We may conduct event, we may conduct a function, we may give some grant, we may give whatever. Those are service. But unless rights are realized, that typically remains only a charity model. Of course, even service model is very important, because through that also important empowerment is received financially and otherwise. I'm not underestimating that. At the same time, if that is not coupled and strengthened with the realization of rights, then service in itself becomes rather redundant after some time, because then we are continuing the earlier domain. Okay, they need something, let's give them something. Whatever they need, we give. Idea is not to give what they need. Idea is to make them so capable they are able to get what they need. That is the progress from charity to empowerment, charity to rights based. It's in that context, of course, I must say that the Danish Association of the Blind is also supporting 2 important CBR projects of AICB. That's a different indicator. And but as far as the realization of rights for the blind and the partially sighted is concerned, it's in that context that we are having various workshops, both in South and North India. So we had the leadership workshop last year with you in South India. Same affiliates joined, I think. Maybe some different people were there, but same affiliates were there, organizations. We had a similar workshop in December for our affiliates in North and East India and Central India, some of our affiliates in these areas. And now we are having the advocacy workshop with you specifically on rights. So what rights are? What is the meaning of rights in the context of organization? This I will discuss with you when my subsequent submissions, when I have a full lecture with you soon after this inauguration. But suffice it to say that, as Mr. Kaul has said, just give me a second. Yeah, as Mr. Kaul has said, that unless these workshops make some change, bring about some change in our personal lives, in our commitment to organizations, and in the work of our organization, they're no use. I mean, you are investing your very important Sundays, 2 Sundays. Many of your family people could have done very well spending time with their family, eating some good food, which I'm sure you eat even otherwise today and next Sunday also, or resting maybe if you're working. The very fact that you're making the effort to take out 2 Sundays means that you are interested. You assume that. Otherwise, why would you person do it? I mean, if I'm not interested, I'm just sleep here. I see a movie. The very fact one makes an effort means one is interested. But interest by itself is not enough. Interest should be coupled with action. So how interest should be coupled with action is something we'll discuss later. But what I want to tell, I don't want to go into details of the topics of the workshop and what are the areas, because that Muthu has already done. So I will not be talking about those. But all I would like to say is pay attention to our speakers. They are very important names in the advocacy sector in the country. Some of them internationally also. We are beginning with Mr. Prabhakaran, who is himself a senior Supreme Court advocate and a very famous advocate in South India, and has done a lot of work for us. And the list will go on over the next 2 days. So listen to them carefully and ask questions, whatever doubts you may be having. We may have some knowledge, but knowledge is never enough. So we should ask questions. Asking questions is very important. And then after that, see when you go back home, how you can use this knowledge, and let us know what you want to do. As Mr. Kaul said, we are always willing to support advocacy work wherever is required financially. Otherwise, we have done in many states in South India also, including Tamil Nadu. So we would urge you not just to end this workshop here. The success of this workshop will not be judged just by the attendance. The success of this workshop will not be judged only by participation. The success of this workshop will be judged by what action you take after this. And is that we look forward to. With these words, I wish everyone best of luck and happy interactions in the workshop. And of course, there will be lots more that I have to share with you today and perhaps sometime next Sunday. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us. And as you said, interest coupled with action is very important. Especially, I have learned this by getting an opportunity to work in AICB. So, and Aneja sir will be handling today also and Sunday also. Please make use of his service, because he has got a vast experience in the advocacy. And whenever there is an AICB case in CCPD, Aneja sir himself goes and appear in the case, and he has brought several victories in the organization. We'll be seeing in AICB success stories. So thank you very much, sir.